Let's also talk about, you mentioned earlier on in our conversation, the whispers, kind of like the symptoms. And what do you mean when you say the whispers? We need to start paying attention to that.
Oh, okay. Well, basically, the way I guess I can best explain it is that our bodies are like a barrel.
Yes.
You know, that's just to use an example. And as we put all of these things into our body, there's stressors that just keep filling up the barrel. Things like sugar, as you mentioned, things like the root canals, mercury, a poor diet, dairy, wheat, stress is another big one, pesticides, preservatives. All these things really are not meant to be in our bodies. And they continually start to suppress the body and suppress the immune system. And that's when our barrel is getting full. When our barrel is ultimately full, we're hearing some of the whispers. Okay. Some of those whispers are, you know, the symptoms that we're having: chronic fatigue, chronic sinus problems, chronic stomach problems, heart disease, diabetes. These are diabetes. Things like that are what ultimately develop if you don't listen to those whispers. The little whispers are basically, you know, you hear about something and you say, I should make a change. And then when you don't hear about it, it turns into a pebble. You know, getting hit with a pebble, and then it turns into a brick, and then it turns into a brick wall falling on you. And then if you still don't hear it, then the whole house falls down on you. And then ultimately you're in the eye of the storm. And that's actually a quote from Oprah Winfrey.
Wow, that's incredible. So listen to your body when it's giving you the signals that the balance is actually a little off. So what are some suggestions, recommendations that you can share with what you did to help heal yourself, and what people, you know, people could start making changes today with? I think just sharing with you some of the things that I've done, and again, I can't say that they'll all work with someone else, but this is what myself and many other people have done as well, again with supervision. But basically, wheatgrass, for example, is absolutely terrific. Yes, you highly recommend that.
Yeah, I highly recommend that. Wheatgrass is effectively one molecule away from the human blood, or actually the hemoglobin. So when we're taking in wheatgrass into our body, it's basically the same as bringing in, you know, fresh, clean new blood and pushing out the toxic blood. And it has over 40 different benefits. You can just type in wheatgrass online and Google wheatgrass, and you'll get all 40 of the benefits. So that's something very powerful. Juicing is another thing that's very powerful, because it gives our bodies a chance to not have to go through all of the work and the effort of digesting, because it's basically in a liquid form, in a thin enough matter where it can really penetrate much more easily. And then of course you can do, you know, powdered greens and things like that. And I'll have all this information on my website.
You really emphasized greens, how important they are.
Absolutely, they're so healing. Greens are so healing to our body, and so many of us really just don't realize that. You know, we've gone so far away from it because sometimes they're a little bit harder to prepare, and they're not as easy as, you know, some of the fast food that's out there. But that's what you want to do. You want to stay away from any of the fast food. You want to cut sugar out of your diet so that you can basically keep the cancer from attacking it. And you'll find that in a short period of time, usually a few weeks, once you cut sugar out completely, that you actually start losing the craving for it. The reason why we crave it so ferociously is because all this yeast has been created in our body, and it thrives on it, it lives on it. So ultimately you wind up starting to kind of back away from that, and then you really just don't crave it as much. As soon as you take it again, though, it kind of is like, wow, I've been waiting for you. I've been waiting for you. So so those are some of the things. European biological medicine is, you know, is fantastic as well. Any type of body, mind, and spirit work, you know, yoga, meditation, exercise is so important. Raw foods as much, you know, as much as possible. All these things are things for everyone to look into. You know, no one thing is a silver bullet, but together they can be very powerful. And these are the ways that we start taking our steps away from the barrel, and we start actually having the barrel lower and lower, because once we don't do anything about it, that's when the barrel overflows. That's when we have cancer. That's when we have diabetes and, you know, heart disease.
Well, this has been such an amazing amount of information. Now, if somebody wants to learn more, Joyce, where can they go? Your website is?
www.beingcancerfree.com.
And you also just created a CD.
Yes, there's a CD available as well. And if you sign on, I'll be sending out free newsletters as well. And I'll be putting a lot of information on there. And I should have a book out in hopefully sometime in the fall.
Okay. Do you have a title yet?
No.
All right.
It's coming to me.
All right. Well, look for Joyce's name, Joyce O'Brien. All right, Joyce, thank you so much
thank you.
again for being here.
I appreciate
We
this
really
opportunity to share this message very much. Thank you.